Hello, my name is Monica Boyle, and you can find me at Better Health by Monica on social media, betterhealthbymonica.com. I am a health coach, a functional diagnostic nutrition coach, and I help mindful people who feel limited by gut issues and anxiety find food freedom, digestive, and stress relief so they can feel relaxed and in control of their health. So today I want to talk about a really strong component of my health coaching, what I do with my clients in addition to all of the whole body healing that we implement. This is another part of that process, but I also offer this to the public. It's a separate entity. It's like taking a yoga class or taking an exercise class, but these classes are just a little bit different. They are modeled off of a specific method, and then I have also incorporated some of my own movement experience into these classes as well. When we're truly healing the whole body, we have to think about diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, and supplementation, right? So we think about all of the different aspects of health, all of the things that can contribute to poor health and ways you can improve your health from all different angles. So when I work with people one-on-one, we consider all of that. I really try to break down dietary recommendations, supplement protocols, and we use functional lab testing to make it very individualized so that we know where you need the most support according to those lab tests. We don't diagnose, we don't treat. This isn't like, I actually totally ignore diagnosis. If you are suffering from a certain condition or autoimmune disease, we have to think about you, the person, and how we're going to support you and your body and not treat your condition, because that is another way of doing healthcare. And that's just not what holistic practitioners do or how we practice. So I want to get into the principles of the movement component of healing. So how can we move to heal? And how can movement and manual therapy aid digestion, detoxification, immune function, and that whole body healing? Okay, what does that mean? So what can you expect in a relaxation and gut healing class? I incorporate a bunch of different methods, and just from my experience as a dancer and researching different functional movement, visceral manipulation, all things that can help the body internally, externally, structurally, posturally, all of it. But it's really rooted in this specific method called water up, fire down. This was created by a man in Korea called Il-Chi Lee. He owns a studio called Body and Brain. You can check out bodyandbrain.com and learn more about him, his method. They have their own YouTube channel. So there are a lot of resources available to you that can show you this method and can show you the principles of this method. So I do a lot of movement and activities rooted in these principles. And I also incorporate Pilates. I'm a Pilates instructor. So we work on strengthening our posture, strengthening our spine, our pelvic floor, the muscles that support the spine, and increasing the flexibility and mobility, because physical pain is so prevalent with people who are experiencing health issues of any kind. And a lot of that is a sign of weakness. It's a sign of blockage, poor circulation. So we really do address all of it with these different methods. I do incorporate some dance. We use dance for the brain. We use dance for just the positivity and the endorphins effect of it. I'll get into that later. And then this is all a form of meditation. We think that meditation is just sitting and, trying not to think. At least that's what I thought it was. I would turn on my app and I enjoyed it. It really taught me a lot about myself and noticing. I do like those apps a lot, but we don't realize that we can actually meditate by moving. We can meditate, and I think this is a more productive way of meditating. So I want to talk about that. First, I just want to get into a little bit of my story. So I had major digestive issues my entire life. From the moment I can remember, I had a stomach ache. I sought out professional help multiple times with different doctors. I would get an IBS diagnosis. I finally did get the SIBO, the small intestinal bacterial overgrowth diagnosis when I was 22, I believe, or 23. I went through a pharmaceutical journey then, on and off different antibiotics, continual relapse. My symptoms started to impact my skin. My anxiety just was through the roof during the entire health journey. The sleep issues were really bad. Fatigue. I was in my 20s and I just didn't have energy for anything. I started to feel quite numb. It just no motivation for anything. And it was alarming, something was wrong. Something was very wrong. So long story short, I started doing my own research. I was introduced to the world of holistic healthcare, of the microbiome. I started doing my own research and educating myself about my personal body using functional lab testing. I became a health coach so that I could heal myself and also heal others. And over the past year, I have really tackled some of these issues through this holistic way. So I don't have SIBO. I don't have these digestive issues that I dealt with my entire life. I don't have that fatigue. I have just a better ability to be carried through my day energetically. But about several months ago, I started to realize that I still had this lingering anxiety where even though physically I was starting to feel better, I could not get a good grasp on my anxiety, meaning that it felt like it was out of control. It felt like it would get triggered over really small things. I couldn't really handle stress very well. I had been coming from a place where my cortisol, health-wise, my cortisol was super low. I just did not have the ability to handle stress at all. And so even though I felt like I could handle stress a little better, that anxiety was still there. So I found this method. I found this water up, fire down method by Yilchi Lee, and it did totally change my life. I was able to learn techniques and ways to balance my nervous system, and I'm going to get into all the details of it further. But so far, in just a short amount of time, I have reduced my anxiety and increased my coping capabilities. I feel clear, confident, and calm. And I want to be very clear about something, that this is an ongoing process. This is something that I have to practice daily. I can notice that when I don't practice it, I might start to feel more anxious. So this is a tool that you can use and that I've been using to help me in the long run, right? So it's about the practice, but I feel so much better. I don't have those panic attacks that I was. And if I do start to feel like one is coming on, I have a better ability to cope with it through physical movement. Excuse me. I have more energy. I think it's been wonderful. I used to have to take a nap at 2, or I used to just feel like I couldn't do anything throughout, the middle of the day. I'd hit a block. That doesn't happen anymore. I kind of power through and I feel great. I have an increased ability to exercise. This was a big one. I have spent my entire life as an athlete in a way. I mean, I always exercised at high intensity. I mean, when I would work and do shows, the amount of exercise I was doing was insane. So I'm used to this very, very active lifestyle. And I hit this wall last year where I couldn't do it anymore. I mean, my heart couldn't do it anymore. There was something that would happen every time I get my heart rate up. I would feel like this isn't good for my body. My heart can't handle this. And so throughout all the work I've done, plus adding this tool in of movement, I have an increased ability to exercise and move the way that I really want to, so I can kind of get my body back to that higher performance level that I really want to get back to. I do have this general sense of happiness, meaning that I have a better outlook on life, better control over my emotions, and I feel positive, about the future and my health. I have better sleep. I can fall asleep easier, stay asleep easier. I have improved digestion. So, every now and then those symptoms will kind of come up depending on whatever I eat. Maybe I'm a little gassy, a little bloated, but this method has also helped me with my digestion even more than I thought it could, or even more than I thought I could get to after all the stuff I've been doing, because I felt really good. Now I feel even better. Reduced bladder pain as well. So I was experiencing some bladder pain. It might have been UTI related. It might have been bladder tension related. And that has reduced as well. So that's also a plus. But again, like I said, this is an ongoing practice. And so you might hear all these things. You say, I really want this. I want to try to get people to understand that this is like a yoga practice. It's something that you want to incorporate into your daily life, your daily routine. So the 3 principles of my classes that are based on the water up, fire down method. You can go and read more about water up, fire down. Il-Chi Lee has his own book, and I'm going to continue to spread his principles as well. But these are really my principles based on those principles and other things that I incorporate into the class. Improving circulation, increasing internal warmth, and nervous system balance. So we're going to talk about each one of these things intricately, but improving circulation, increasing internal warmth, and nervous system balance are the 3 basic principles of what we're trying to do when we move in class. So let's talk a little bit about circulation. We have a circulatory system, and anatomically, it is oxygen and blood that is pumped in and out of the heart and circulated throughout the body, through the organs, into the brain, the lungs, all of it, right? And so this picture on the left is explaining that anatomically, more maybe we can say scientifically. And we all understand that. We all understand how the heart pumps oxygen and blood, and our lungs pump oxygen throughout the body. But what I want us to start to understand is this flow of energy as well. I know that when we start to hear the word energy, we think woo-woo. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're very mindful and you understand how we are energetic beings. But if you're not, if you're a little bit more on the skepticism side when it comes to energy, I want you to understand that this is real. This is an actual thing that we have within us. We are energy beings. I like to use the analogy of like some of these computers that were able to think, and then they can show an image on a computer, or we're able to think about like spelling things out. I think I just read a headline the other day about, stroke victim learns how to rewrite using his imagination. And I don't have any like real science to back this up. This is just kind of my own hypothesis in a way, that is energy. Those are electrical currents that run throughout our body. And so the water up, fire down method is based on this idea that we have this warm and cold energy circulating through the body vertically. So we have cool energy that wants to come up from the kidneys, over the head, and then down, and then we have fire energy from the heart that comes down into the stomach. Ideally, we want to have a cool head and a warm abdomen, and we want that circulation happening. Another way to think about it is the way that the earth has its own circulatory system. So rain falls down, it gets absorbed into the soil, and then it evaporates up into the sky, or it falls down into water and then gets evaporated up into the sky, forming precipitation clouds, and then it falls down. So we have this circulation happening. The sun is involved. The sun is up here. It shines heat down on the plants, the earth, and then we absorb them. We bring them down into the roots. So there is this natural circulatory system in the world, the universe, the earth, and also in our bodies. So stay with me. But what can happen is we can have poor circulation. So when we have a lack of blood and oxygen flow, that's going to cause a low body temperature, which is going to compromise our immunity. So those of you who might have cold hands and feet, I had really cold hands and feet, and I had a really low body temperature. I was taking my basal body temperature when I got off of birth control, and I started to track my cycle using one of those apps. I took my temperature every morning. When I found out how important body temperature is to our health, I went back and looked at that app, and I realized that some of my temperatures were in the low 96s. That's not good. That means that your immunity is compromised. That's autoimmune tendencies as well, an autoimmune symptom. So that can mean that we have a lack of blood, oxygen, energy flow as well, okay? Circulation. Poor oxygen to the brain and other parts of the body. That can also cause major fatigue and other mood disorders as well. So areas where there are blockages, both anatomically and energetically, happen when circulation is weak. And then we can have this building of anxiety in that part or tension in that part of the body. So if we experience a lot of anxiety due to the many contributors in our modern world, we may end up having a blockage in our chest here. We have all this tension, which is going to prevent that fire energy from going down, right? It's going to block that off. And that's going to build there and cause more anxiety. Another way to think about it is the intestines. The intestines are 25 feet long. There's a lot that can go wrong there. We can have tension in the intestines. We can have valves that are open or closed, causing dysfunction. So we need to make sure that there's circulation within that area. Breathing will be impacted if circulation is weak, tension is increased, and poor circulation is an indication that our nervous system is out of whack, which is going to cause digestive problems and make anxiety and stress increase, okay? So what happens when our organs are cold? So I touched on how important temperature is. We don't really think about it that much. When our organs are cold, when our internal temperature is cold, our immunity is compromised. Our body is not focused on immunity, it's focused on survival. We can gain weight because the organs are cold. So what do they need? They need insulation, which means they need more fat. So doing this may help actually reduce your body weight or lose fat. Cold body temperatures can be a sign of autoimmune issues, hypothyroid issues, hyperthyroid issues. We can still be hot, but cold internally. So this is an important one to think about. If you're like, oh, that's so not me, I'm not cold, I'm hot all the time. That could actually mean that you have a cold internal temperature. You have a hot head because your circulation is off, because we can't bring that heat down into the abdomen. Therefore, you feel hot, but internally you're cold, okay? So we don't want a hot head and a cold gut. And when we have a hot head, we have emotions. We are over emotional, and we have that sensation of fever. We might actually be prone to having more fevers because our immune system is compromised, right? So by increasing circulation, we can try to bring that heat down and let that cool air, that cool energy rise within the body. And this is the natural cycle of the earth that I talked about before, that we want that clear head, warm tummy. Let's talk about the nervous system. So what happens when the nervous system is out of balance? Here's this diagram to the left here, talks about the parasympathetic versus the sympathetic nervous system. So in the autonomic nervous system, we have these two branches. The parasympathetic is for rest and digest. The sympathetic is for fight or flight. So you can see all of the different things that happen when that part of the nervous system is activated. But what can happen is when we are chronically stressed, when we have anxiety, poor sleep, poor diet, poor lifestyle factors, our sympathetic nervous system, our sympathetic branch is overactivated. When that happens, our digestion becomes suppressed. So we're not going to be secreting our digestive enzymes, our stomach acid, our bile. The body is too focused on survival. The sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight, is too focused on surviving. So all of those functions like the immune system, hormone production, digestion are going to be suppressed and compromised, which will lead to more anxiety and more stress. So we have to balance the autonomic nervous system by activating the rest and digest through activity, through movement, through self-therapy, through mind-body connection, through breath work that will aid digestion, immune function, hormone production, etc. This takes time. This takes practice. This is like building muscle memory. This is building our ability, our stamina, right? Or our endurance. Okay, this is the same thing. So if you've ever had an exercise goal, you know that you need that discipline in order to reach that goal. This is the same thing. If we want to balance the nervous system, we have to practice it and practice activating that rest and digest as much as we can. That will in turn stimulate the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is this incredibly complex cranial nerve that connects the brain to all of these other organs, especially the gut. It is a two-way avenue from the gut to the brain. And that is how our brain and our gut communicate with each other. It also is how our organs communicate with the brain and vice versa. But more so, our organs are actually communicating with the brain than the brain communicating with the organs. So that means that if we have any dysfunction in a particular organ, like let's say the liver, that is going to impact our brain. And so we have to work both. We have to understand how we can support the liver, but we also have to understand how we can support the brain and the nervous system. So all of the activities that we do in class are vagal nerve stimulation, which will help with this balance. Balance is key. So how do we practice the water up, fire down technique? Well, these are just kind of bullet points that describe a little bit of the actual activity that we do. Breath work, energy connection. If you're not sure what that is, then you definitely want to try to take this class because it's something that you can only feel. I can't really describe it. Intestinal exercise, that's the activity of actually moving the intestines with your muscles. Intestinal pulsing, this is also known as belly button healing, that was coined by Ilchi Lee, and that is the act of actually pulsing the belly button and pulsing different parts of the abdomen with an object. That we do in class. Brain sensitizing as well, and we'll get into exactly what that means a little bit later. And just as a reminder, you can try this class for free. I do offer these classes for free to the public a few times a month. So you just have to go to my website, betterhelpbymonica.com, get on my newsletter list, or even there's a button there that you click for the classes. Just make sure you're on that list and I will send you all the information about it upcoming. Yes, I also offer free consultations for health coaching and this. So if you have any questions and you want to discuss what all of this means, what it's like to work with me, if you want a private lesson as well, I can offer that to you as well. So lots of options there. I do incorporate Pilates because it is functional movement. So that means that it's going to address misalignment. It's going to address weakness in the spine, in the posture. We want a mobile spine. We want a strong spine. Really, this can determine a lot about our health and our pain level. So we want to strengthen those small muscles, those deep muscles that support our posture. And we can do that through simple Pilates. I don't do crazy Pilates. This is not really the opportunity to have you do some crazy, hard, challenging Pilates. But really, if you do study Pilates, it's not about that. It's about the progression of the class and the exercises. So you're not going to be doing doing anything that is out of your element. I cater them per client as well. Whatever I feel like you need, we're going to start from the foundations and the basics that is going to help you the most. And that will help address weakness and pain. Pilates is the one thing that I have always turned to throughout my dance career that has helped me recover from injuries, helped me get through any pain. When I was bartending, I was standing up for 9 to 12 hours sometimes a day. That would wreak havoc on my lower back. So I would need to do exercises daily in order to correct my spine and my posture and have those muscles to hold my body up. And that helped so much. Okay, I swear, I'm not even just saying that. I have lordosis, so my lower back is super curved and all the weight goes down into that low spine, onto the lumbar spine, and you have to work that spine and those muscles if you want to combat that pain. Dance. Here are a few wacky pictures of me dancing. Dance is an interesting component to these classes because I'm not going to be teaching full-on choreography. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time dancing. There's so many different ways that we can use dance to our benefit. Number one is neuromotor work. Dance requires that mind-body connection, that coordination throughout the body, which works the brain, which helps us make synapses connections. So we can connect those neurons together. We can create that stronger myelin sheath around the brain, working our body and working it in a certain order, I guess you could say. So I will teach like little combinations, or we will do little movements that are going to challenge our brain to help that neuromotor work. That's going to help our memory improve. It's going to also offer that endorphin release. Some of it is a little frustrating because you want your body to do something and it's just not doing it. We're going to work through that. And once you get better at it, you're going to realize how much fun it is. We also use dance to increase the body temperature as a warm-up, but also give you that energy connection feeling. So dance is immensely gratifying. I'm telling you from experience, and we can move in ways that can help us work through our emotions and also connect to our body more, connect to the feeling of energy more. And so you want to have an open mind when you take these classes because they're going to take you anywhere. They're going to take you to places you've never been, but that's the point. We want to kind of challenge that. We want those emotions to come up so we can release them and work through them. And this falls into the category of brain sensitizing. I mentioned that before. So anything that is going to be challenging the brain is going to be sensitizing the brain to the body. We want the brain to start waking up to the body because sometimes when we're anxious and when we have a lot of chronic health issues or just health issues, we're living way out here. We're living outside of our body. And so we can start to come back to it using these activities and movements. Again, try a free class. If this is all sounding interesting to you at all, you can't hurt to try. Even if there's one person, I will teach it, I will explain it, I will answer questions. So you can go to my website, Better Health by Monica. You can watch my videos on YouTube. I'm going to be coming out with more videos that are going to actually show what I teach in these classes. These are just a little taste of just basic foundational movements, but this is the idea, and you can get a good idea of what you can expect there. You can also schedule a free consultation with me. I am a health coach, so I do facilitate lab testing, and I work with people from this whole body healing perspective. And all of my clients that sign up for a package with me or do a program with me, they get private lessons with me. So we are meeting every week. We are working on this together because it's such a huge tool that can make a huge difference in the whole program together. It's very unique. It's something that is not really found in our health industry yet. It's kind of like this underground work that's becoming a little bit bigger. So I really want to spread this word. Please share this video with anyone that you think it may benefit or if they're curious about it. And don't be afraid to send me a message. And you can DM me on social media. You can send me an email, monica@betterhealthbymonica.com. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in class.